Funeral of Ahmadi woman attacked by a Pakistani mob. On June 6th, a mob led by right-wing Muslim clerics attacked the funeral of an Ahmadi woman in Pakistan's northwestern region. For those who don't know, Ahmadis are a religious minority in Pakistan who are severely persecuted because they do not believe that Muhammad was the final prophet of Allah. The funeral procession got together in the northwestern state of Punjab for a burial service of an Ahmadi woman. A mob of locals showed up at the burial grounds as the Ahmadis entered the local cemetery. The mob pelted stones at the mourners and hit them with sticks. Still, the Ahmadis stood their ground and performed the burial process. The incident was captured on a video that went viral online. The viral video provoked a heated reaction from Muslim clerics across Pakistan. Ibtisam Elahi Zaheer, a radical cleric, urged the police to side with the mob instead of the Ahmadis.
What the hell? I'm actually watching the video.
He also released a video later after he's like, yeah, you know, urging the police not to prosecute the mob, saying that the administration had accepted his conditions, like he's running the country. No legal action against the Muslim attackers. Excuse me. Instead, legal action will be taken against the Ahmadis, and in the future, no Ahmadi funeral will be buried in local graveyard. Now, is that true or not? I don't know. This is this guy saying, you know, I put forth these conditions and now they've accepted it. But it's really sad because there's some things that most people find beyond the pale, and that's, you know, people's funerary services, attacking people in mourning and grief. And these guys don't care. Their hatred is more important than anything. And it's really sad. And it's sad that these people can't even, they're already suffering because someone they care about has passed away. And now they can't even, grieve together because they're being attacked by a mob. It's terrible.
Wait, so, okay, let me just get this straight. Sunni Muslims attack Ahmadi Muslims. For people who don't know, Ahmadi Muslims are not real Muslims according to a lot of Sunni Muslims, okay?
According to the state of Pakistan.
Yes, according to the state of Pakistan.
Isn't that on your passport?
Yeah. Let me please just let me finish, right? It's so official in Pakistan that Ahmadi Muslims are not real Muslims. Not only they're not real Muslims, they're a threat to the definition of Islam, okay? So much so that the government of Pakistan have made it mandatory for you to acknowledge, for every citizen of Pakistan who wants a passport, okay? When you apply for your passport, like, you could go and check this. The official the website where you register for getting a passport, you have to acknowledge that you accept that Ahmadi Muslims are not real Muslims. Think about the equivalent of that. Like, imagine in the United States, anybody who wanted to get a passport, right? They officially had to accept that, I don't know, the Catholic doctrine is not true Christianity. You have to accept that, or else they wouldn't give you a passport, right? You don't even have to be a Protestant, but you have to acknowledge that Catholic religion, they see, that's how big of a deal Ahmadi religion is to the Sunnis in Pakistan. That's how big of a threat that they see it. Because Ahmadis believe that in prophets after Muhammad, and one of the most important parts of Islam is that Muhammad was the last prophet. They see Ahmadi Muslims as a greater threat than Jews, Christians, atheists, and everybody else combined, okay? That's how big of a threat they see Ahmadi Muslims. And this is how they treat them. Ahmadi Muslims in Pakistan are one of the most discriminated group of people around the world. And this is what I'm telling you. Like, we as atheists, we defend Ahmadis who are Muslims more than Muslims themselves, right? This is why I tell you that Muslims are not safe in Islamic countries the best place for Muslims are secular countries. This is why we defend secularism, not just for the sake of atheists. We defend secularism even for the sake of Muslims as well and everyone else. But look, this guy, I agree with this guy's comment. He's saying, complete impunity for clerics and mob that attacked a funeral of Ahmadi woman in somewhere in Pakistan. I don't know how to read that place, but punishment for Ahmadis that were attacked. So the police punished the Ahmadis who were attacked under the what? Under the crime of burying the dead in a place where Ahmadi Muslims are not, like, what was the punishment for? Is that correct?
Rivka, you're muted.
Oh, I'm getting it almost as saying that for being Ahmadi, for just existing, because they want to create a rule in the future that no one will be allowed, no Ahmadis will be allowed to be buried. But from what I'm understanding, that didn't necessarily exist formally.
Right. Okay. So
but they're so targeted, they had to move their world headquarters to Britain because they can't even exist in a Muslim country.
I just wanted this small answer so I could read the rest of this tweet. This person, Osama Khiliji, I don't know, he's saying this dehumanization. This is dehumanization. Yes, it is. This is genocide. Yes, technically it is. Yes, this is, I think so, but I don't know the legal definition of genocide, but I think it would pass as that. This is apartheid. Definitely, I would think that this is apartheid. Yeah, guys, I think Pakistan could be described as an apartheid state, given how Ahmadis live in Pakistan, and now Shias as well. We must not shy from calling a spade at home. And here, is this guy in Pakistan? Because if he is and he's saying these things, that's pretty badass. So here, this is saying Salafi cleric authorities have okay, here, no action against the Sunni Muslims, action against Ahmadis for displaying and firing weapons, separate graveyard for Ahmadis. Okay, so the allegation is that the Ahmadis displayed weapons, well, like as self-defense. I don't know how accurate, we don't know how accurate these reports are, so we don't. Susanna, you have your hand up.
Well, so part of at the heart of this is that Ahmadis are despised so much, they're not even allowed to be buried. Like, even in death, there is segregation. So it's this fight over, you can't even bury your dead near our dead. You have to be separated. And that was part of what inspired this mob to go and attack this funeral procession for. In that video that you showed earlier, you see this thing that kind of looks like a bed, and I guess that is traditionally what you carry people in before you bury them. So you can see here that the dead woman's been thrown from basically her casket because she's not in that thing. And if you scroll down further in the article, there's a tweet that I want to highlight. So I thought this was really important to highlight. So Shireen Mazari is the human rights minister for Pakistan, and she tweeted about the anti-Muslim bigoted attack that happened in Canada, where 4 members of a family were targeted because they were Pakistani and Muslim. And so she said, Canadian radical murders Muslim family by ramming truck into them in London, Ontario, condemnable. Sad how hate and intolerance and hate for the other is becoming endemic across the globe. And then someone quote retweeted her and said, including Pakistan, where we don't let the Ahmadi community bury their dead. So a lot of people are, with Shireen Mazari, it's really not hard to point out her hypocrisy, like, because she so willfully turns a blind eye to, or doesn't as vocally condemn so much of the discrimination and persecution of minorities that happens within Pakistan, as well as, of course, the PM, Imran Khan, is notorious for this, talking about Islamophobia of other countries and how their Islamophobia coming from their blasphemy against Prophet Muhammad. But then people are talking about, what about your Islamophobia or your kafirophobia? Because they think that Ahmadis are kafir, they're not even Muslim. Like, look at what's going on in your country. It's so much worse than just an offensive drawing of a holy figure.
All right, so I need to address a few things in the live chat because people are saying I think they don't get what I'm. Okay, so Chihaya is saying correction. Ahmadis consider Mirza Ghulam Ahmad as Imam al Mahdi. Muslims believe Imam al Mahdi is yet to arrive. Okay, so and again somebody else mentioned, Kenji mentioned this as well, but let me actually clarify what you guys are missing. Kenji was also saying, correction, Ahmadis don't believe that Muhammad wasn't the last prophet. They believe that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was Imam Mahdi, not that he's a prophet. Okay, so guys, if you actually look at the things that they say that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is the Mahdi, but he like based on their ideology, and if you correct me if I'm wrong, he's directly spiritually connected to God. Okay, so even if they don't call that prophethood, a spiritual connection like with Vahya, with Allah, based on Sunni definitions of prophethood, that would make him a prophet, even if you don't call it that. I mean, the reason why there's so much hate for Ahmadis is not because they think the Mahdi showed. Like, that would not by itself be enough to create this much animosity against Ahmadis, right? The way they elevate him to a position that could only be accepted, that could clearly be seen as a prophet, that's what bothers Sunnis a lot. That's what offends them so much. Let me see if somebody is addressing what I'm saying.
Well, there's also certain things within. I can't remember exactly what it is, but in Pakistan, there are certain areas where you have to say that Muhammad is the seal of the prophethood.
Right.
Like in the way that you say his name afterwards, you have to say this little phrase that acknowledges that he is the seal of the prophet, which is specifically an anti-Ahmadi measure.
Yeah, this is exactly. So this is why I think that both Kenji and Chiaya are missing the point. They're like, oh, that guy was not a prophet, he was the Mahdi. Then if that's how the Sunnis, if you don't think that the Sunnis don't see that as a challenge to Muhammad being the seal of the prophet, then why is claiming that Muhammad is a seal of a prophet, why acknowledging that, why is that considered to be an anti-Ahmadi position, right? The fact that that's considered to be an like you're like, you have to acknowledge that Muhammad was the seal of the prophet in Pakistan as an anti-Ahmadi measure shows that what you guys are describing is not how it's being perceived by Sunnis, right? You guys see, like the people do you guys see what we're saying? Do you disagree? All right. Anybody?
I just wanted to point out too that this wasn't just some spontaneous event. Apparently it was planned because it was announced at nearby mosques that Muslims should get together and stop this funeral procession. So it wasn't just some, like rotten apples who were like, oh, we, rah, rah, rah. No, this was an organized event.
Premeditated. Yeah.
Within the Sunni Muslim community, organized through their mosques, apparently some of these ones. And apparently this tension had been growing over, several days, and they were talking about but then the police, Wajid Abbas, he's the spokesperson for the police in that area, said that action is going to be taken against the people who took the law into their hands by brandishing weapons. Now, I don't know what that means, since they were charging the Ahmadis with having weapons. Okay. And then he said, again, as you said, that they would now bury people in a predetermined site. So, yeah. So,
right, so
it just sounds like more bigotry.
Yeah. They ended up losing that, people are just not agreeing.
Okay. Got it. Again, some.
Can I answer this?
Yeah, go on.
So Secular Rarity is saying, wait, are you saying that the phrase that many Muslims say in Arabic after saying Muhammad's name is specifically anti-Ahmadi? No, There are lots of different phrases that people may say after Muhammad's name, and I can't remember the details specifically. So someone, if you're familiar with this issue in Pakistan, please correct me. But my understanding is that, well, one, it would be in Urdu probably, but two, like in certain contexts, like maybe on the government, like on the floor of government, you have to say the specific phrase, which I don't know because I don't speak Urdu. That
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not about Muhammad being the seal of the prophet.
I remember talking to Ali Rizvi about how they have to say this other phrase that says that he's the seal of the prophet. But I couldn't look it up because I don't know what he's saying.
Okay,
so if Paris Sultan is in the chat,
can I please, guys, this is what I wanted to say, guys. We're talking about the context within Pakistan. We're not talking about all Muslims. Most Muslims would say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam after Prophet Muhammad's name is mentioned, which is like a blessing to Muhammad and his household or whatever, or his people. But yeah, no, we're not talking about all Muslims. We're talking about within the context of Pakistan, this emphasis of acknowledging that Muhammad. I mean, all Muslims. Well, not all Muslims, if you count Ahmadis. Well, I mean, okay, within the Islamic doctrine, Muhammad is the seal of the prophets. Okay, but within Pakistan, this part of Islam is emphasized more than other places because of the anti-Ahmadi nature of Sunni Muslims in Pakistan, right? So we're not talking about all Muslims everywhere, right? Yes, yeah, exactly. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is basically means praise be unto him, and his all would be like people, and so PB and his progeny. Yes, perfect translation. Amazing. Yeah, good. Thank you.
I've been watching a lot of Shia channels, and they're constantly saying that.
Yeah. So you have to. They say it so fast. It doesn't even sound like they are so used to saying it that it doesn't even sound like you don't even know. Like this, how to say it. Like what?
It's almost like it's only the outside of their lips that are saying it because their mouth is like, wow.
The tongue is not even moving anymore. Like, like what? Like so, you're supposed to say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and they're like Sallallahu. Okay. All right, it gets boring after a while. This is why I think this is why a lot of Muslims don't mention Muhammad, because it's annoying to have to say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam every time that you mention his name. So that's why so many Muslims just avoid mentioning Muhammad. Maybe they say the Prophet. Oh yeah, they say like the Prophet instead of like saying his name.
Or they just Rasulullah.
Rasulullah, yes, exactly.
Hey guys, if you're a fan of blasphemy and sexy Callie, like me, then you need to be sure to subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description below. Because if you subscribe, we will send you a free copy of our blasphemous art ebook. And let me tell you, it is the tastiest blasphemy that you can find anywhere available today. And we are so generous with our blasphemy that we continue to send you more blasphemy every week. So make sure to subscribe, link in the description below.